Welcome back, RuneScape fans. Originally I thought this was going to be a whole questing episode, but I had a stretch there where I couldn't play for more than a few minutes a day, so I had tons of clips between where we left off last and getting any serious questing done. But before I explain myself any further, let's just get into the video and see what we managed to accomplish. So anyway, I spent about a week just kind of doing a bit of this and that as time allowed, but still trying to be somewhat productive. This won't be the longest or most content-filled episode, but I think it's still a good episode to have in the series, and just kind of gives a bit of perspective about how a whole week's worth of gameplay can fit down into just a few short minutes of highlights, you know? For example, that was me getting 55 combat at goblins. I know I just said I was trying to be productive, but hear me out. I thought I was going to stay here a while and get some easy clues. I didn't. I gave up really quickly. That was very boring. After I learned that that wasn't going to work for me, I decided to walk over to the catacombs so I could quickly assemble that mask that you can get from the different creatures down there and gather all the statuettes. The mask is pretty useless and honestly doesn't even look that cool, but it's an achievement to put it together, so it's worth it for that, I guess. The statues, though, you take right outside Xenia here, and she gives you a whopping 2,100 coins for all 5 of them, which I guess is worth it if you do it like right away after a blood pact and you have no cash. For us, it didn't really mean that much, but at least we got it done. Do you guys ever feel like you jump around a lot playing this game? I know I do, especially now, going back over all this footage. Anyway, it was time for a cache, and I really never remembered to do them, so I'm glad I got it done. And it got us from level 14 all the way to 20, and we got the Diviner's Robe top. Big worth. I managed to catch the next one too, after doing just a tiny bit of fishing and a farm run. This time we got 5 levels, straight to level 25, which is pretty killer. After that, I had a little time to AFK, so I decided to do a touch of fishing, and got to level 50, which is awesome. I love the way it looks when stats are level 50. And that also means
we are more than halfway to 99.
Just kidding, love you Mudkip. But you know it's not a joke. Level 20 fletching, which is another nice aesthetic level to have. I know this isn't usually how I play, but I do still feel like we're making a good bit of progress. We're already up like 29 total levels since the start of the video, like what, 3 minutes ago? Not bad. Speaking of not bad, I can finally do divine herb patches. Just the low level ones for now, of course, but it's still a great way to turn some Guam into a whole inventory of herbs. It is just another thing to remember to do every day, though. I can really see where people are coming from when they call this game Dailyscape. I guess I don't mind too much, though. I can always pick and choose the things I think are worthwhile to me. In fact, if you guys want, I can post a separate video of what my daily, weekly, and monthly D&Ds look like for this account. Let me know in the comments if that would interest you, or if not, what other side content maybe would. And speaking of dailies, the next thing I decided to do was go through all the molten glass that was sitting in my bank from the daily seaweed that you can collect in Catherby, and blow it all into vials, since that's the highest level thing I can make with them at the moment. And doing that got me to level 43 crafting from 40. I think crafting is going to be one of the more tedious skills for me, just because getting the materials seems to be a little bit of a pain. You've got the daily seaweed that I just mentioned, and battle staves, which is a good moneymaker. But that's kind of all I can think of, other than I guess maybe I'll give temple trekking a go at some point. Though I've never done that minigame really on any account. So, I don't know, maybe it'll be worth a shot. Speaking of worth a shot, I can't really think of a way to segue into this next clip of me getting 40 farming. Kind of a shame too, I was on a hot streak for the last 3 clips. No, really, go back and listen. I'm amazing. Speaking of being amazing, see? Doing it again. I also got level 40 woodcutting. All these nice looking levels this episode, man. And look at the total level shooting up there too. We're going to be 1k total before we know it. And after fletching most of the logs that got us to level 40 woodcutting, we got to level 25 fletching too. That's the level needed for oak shield bows, so now the experience rates go up. Pretty nice. But when I got back to Scapin later that day, I felt I had done enough gathering and artisan stuff for a while, so I went to slay some chaos druids for a couple quick levels in defense and magic, getting 42 and 47 respectively, and a few inventories full of herbs as well. Then I had a very unusual change of heart. I actually felt like doing some dungeoneering. And actually, I think it's a good time for a bit of a confession, if I may. I hate dungeoneering. I know it's going to be super important later for things like the Charming Imp, the Bone Crusher, the Gym Bag, chaotic weapons, and all the training spots that you unlock, but I just cannot bring myself to go through all these dungeons solo. It just feels so tedious. I've even considered using my Jack of Trades to get my levels up, but then I don't get any reward tokens. I've heard that elite dungeons can be good alternatives, but I really don't know anything about that content. I've never even gone near it. If anybody could recommend some good alternative ways to get XP or tokens for dungeoneering, I would be so super duper grateful. You have no idea. But anyway, I managed to do a couple of floors and get to level 23 before giving into my hatred for this skill and quickly moving on. The next thing I did was complete a handful of daily challenges that I had laying around. I had them for rune crafting, smithing, and prayer. And doing them and turning them in got me levels in all 3 and a few magic logs. But by far the best part was getting level 40 prayer, which unlocked protect from range. The next big unlock is of course level 43 protect from melee, and then after that I don't care about prayer for a while. So that was pretty nice to have done. After that I decided to work on my Slayer task of vampires. It took a while, but I got quite a few levels out of it, and, more excitingly, a medium clue, which I chose to attempt basically right after I got it. And I do mean attempt. The first step was an emote clue requiring a mithril chain, green dragonhide chaps, and a ruby amulet. The mithril chain body I can already make and have the materials for, so that's not a big deal. And the green dragonhide chaps you can buy from Low in Varrock, so that's also pretty easy. It was the ruby amulet that was going to be the problem. As you can see on screen, I thought it was going to be a piece of cake, but when I got to the furnace, I discovered that it takes level 50 crafting to make a ruby amulet. I forgot that for some reason, all the jewelry in the game requires a disproportionately high crafting level to make. By this point, I had accumulated some more seaweed to craft into molten glass and then blow, but even after doing all that, I was still only level 47 crafting and still needed almost 20,000 more experience to get to level 50. So I decided to bank the clue and get back to it when I have 50 crafting. I'm not going to try to rush it or anything, and I know you can downgrade clues, like I could go make it an easy and complete it, but I don't know, I feel like that's giving up. And I don't want to give up on this clue. There's something good at the other end of a clue that makes you work hard, you know? Or at least I hope that's the case. And speaking of staying positive, I want to use this final segue to point out that doing a Hunter Daily Challenge got us to total level 900. And turning it in got us a couple more levels too. I also want to thank you all for hanging out through this kind of unorthodox episode. I promise that the next episode will be all about questing, mostly. Also, final note, I'm currently working at home due to the crazy thing that's happening in the world, so I will be streaming this account right here on YouTube from time to time as I get the opportunity. So, if you don't mind spoilers on this series, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be alerted when I go live and when new episodes come out. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.